You walk into Costco, Target, or Best Buy and see a wall of stunning OLED TVs playing vivid demo reels, waterfalls, fireworks, colors that pop. You check the prices and notice two identical-looking TVs are separated by $300 or more. What's going on? Here's the secret. Retailers use exclusive model numbers that hide reduced specs. Brands quietly cut brightness, swap processors, and cheapen builds on retail-only variants. Worse, demo mode artificially boosts brightness to levels the TV can't maintain at home. That weak panel looks incredible for 30 seconds in the store. Then you get it home. Suddenly it's dimmer than you remember. Motion gets smeary during sports. The OS is sluggish. HDR falls flat. You start wondering if you got a defective unit, but you didn't. You just bought the wrong model. Today we're ranking 12 major OLED brands you'll find at major retailers, from the worst traps to the genuine winners. We're cutting through the confusion to show you what's actually worth your money. If you're about to buy an OLED, pause. This list might save you hundreds, or stop you from buying something you'll regret in 3 months. Let's get into it. Number 12. Hisense entry-level OLED variants. You'll see this one on every flashy end cap at your local big box store. The price tag screams value. The display looks stunning under those bright showroom lights. And if you're shopping on a tight budget, Hisense seems like the obvious winner. But here's the problem. Performance is wildly inconsistent. And that drops it straight to last place on this list. Brightness varies significantly depending on which panel batch you get. Some units hit decent peak nits, others struggle to reach even mediocre levels. It's a lottery. And when you're spending over $1,000 on a TV, you shouldn't have to gamble. The aggressive dimming behavior is another issue. In dark scenes, you'll notice flicker. It's subtle at first, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your eyes start hunting for it during every movie night. Here's the thing. When a Hisense OLED works perfectly, it's actually a great TV for the money. But when it doesn't, you're stuck dealing with customer service that isn't always responsive. For buyers, the sentiment is consistent great when it works, absolutely frustrating when it doesn't. The verdict? It looks premium in the store, but it's too unpredictable for the price. You might get lucky. But do you really want to roll the dice on something this expensive? The next brand has the exact opposite problem. It's stable, reliable, just painfully underpowered. Number 11. Toshiba Budget OLED via Amazon exclusives. Toshiba's Amazon exclusive OLED models seem brilliant at first glance. The specs look competitive. The reviews are mixed but not terrible. And the price is right in that sweet spot where budget shoppers start pulling out their credit cards. But here's what you need to know. These models lack processing strength where it matters most. HDR tone mapping is mediocre at best. You'll notice it immediately if you're watching Dolby Vision content. Highlights don't pop the way they should. Shadows lose detail. The image feels flat compared to what you'd expect from an OLED panel. Peak brightness is also lower than competitors in the same price range. Not by a huge margin, but enough that you'll notice it in a room with even moderate ambient light. If you've got windows without blackout curtains, this TV will struggle during daytime viewing. Then there's Fire TV. Amazon's operating system is fine for basic streaming, but it's absolutely overloaded with ads and promotional content. Every menu feels like it's trying to sell you something. The user experience gets exhausting fast. Motion handling during sports is where things really fall apart. Fast camera pans look jittery. Ball tracking isn't smooth. If you're buying this for Sunday football, you're going to be disappointed. The buyer sentiment is pretty consistent. Decent for casual viewing, but not a real OLED experience. It's more like a slightly better LCD with deeper blacks. The verdict? A budget OLED that behaves like a budget LCD. If that's what you want, fine. But don't expect true OLED performance. Next up is a brand people genuinely trust. But in this category, that trust is misplaced. Number 10. Vizio remaining OLED stock. Vizio used to be the value king in the TV world. Everyone recommended them for budget-conscious buyers who still wanted solid performance. But their OLED lineup? That's a different story. The core problem is aging software and inconsistent firmware updates, and that combination holds these TVs back in a major way. Firmware support has been minimal in recent years. Updates arrive late if they arrive at all. Bugs that should have been patched months ago just linger. Features that competitors added years ago still haven't made it to Vizio's platform. Local dimming behavior feels dated compared to modern OLEDs. The algorithms are less sophisticated. Zone transitions are more noticeable. It's not terrible, but it's not impressive either. SmartCast OS remains painfully slow and laggy. Menu navigation takes longer than it should. Apps crash more often than they should. Casting from your phone works inconsistently. The whole experience feels like it's from 2 generations ago. Buyer sentiment is pretty clear. The TV is affordable, and the picture quality can be good, but the frustrations add up fast. Small annoyances compound into genuine regret. The verdict? Good picture when it works, but old software drags down the entire experience. At this point, you're better off spending slightly more on something modern. Up next is a brand that absolutely nails style but completely misses on substance. Number 9. Philips imported or niche SKUs. Philips TVs have one killer feature that no other brand can match: Ambilight. Those LED strips on the back of the TV that project colors onto your wall in sync with what's on screen. It's genuinely cool, it's immersive, and it makes your TV setup look like something out of a high-end home theater. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Ambilight is cool precisely because the panel underneath is just average. Motion handling is mediocre. Fast action scenes don't look as smooth as they should on an OLED. Sports can feel jittery. Gaming at high frame rates doesn't deliver the crispness you'd expect. The operating system options are either Roku or Google TV depending on the model. Both run fine. Neither runs particularly fast, but at least they're stable. Here's the real problem if you're in the United States. Repair and support availability is extremely limited. If something goes wrong, you're not just calling a standard customer service line. You're navigating import warranties and gray market support. It's a hassle most people don't want to deal with. Buyer sentiment is consistent, fun features, cool aesthetics, but a clear step behind in core picture performance. The verdict? Ambilight steals the show because the picture quality can't. If you want your TV to be a conversation piece, go for it. But if you want the best image quality for your dollar, look elsewhere. The next contender shines in certain areas, just not brightly enough where it counts. Number 8. Panasonic boutique imports with limited U.S. presence. Panasonic makes some of the most beautiful OLED panels in the world. If you talk to professional colorists or filmmakers, they'll often mention Panasonic in the same breath as reference monitors. The image accuracy is exceptional. The calibration out of the box is filmmaker grade. These TVs are built for people who genuinely care about watching content the way the director intended. But here's the catch. They're incredibly hard to find in the United States, and when you do find them, they're pricey. The US SKUs that are available tend to have lower than average brightness compared to LG or Samsung. It's a deliberate choice. Panasonic prioritizes color accuracy and tone mapping over raw nit output. For some buyers, that's exactly what they want. For others, it means the TV feels dim in anything but a pitch-black room. Buyer sentiment is almost poetic. Amazing picture quality, truly stunning when properly calibrated. But availability is a major issue that keeps most people from ever considering it. The verdict? A dream TV for purists. A genuine hassle for everyone else. If you know exactly what you're doing and you're willing to work for it, Panasonic rewards you. But for the average buyer, the barriers are too high. Brand number 7 tries to punch above its weight. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it punches itself in the face. Number 7. TCL Entry OLED, including QM and retail variants. TCL has made a name for itself by offering surprisingly strong specs at aggressive prices. On paper, their OLED lineup looks like a steal. Solid brightness numbers, modern processors, Google TV, gaming features, all at a price point that undercuts the big players by a significant margin. But quirks keep it firmly in the middle of the pack. Brightness is genuinely solid. TCL uses decent panels that can hit respectable peak nits, but near black handling is inconsistent. You'll see some crush in shadow details. Dark scenes don't have that perfect OLED gradation you expect. The operating system is Google TV, which is generally good. But TCL's implementation has occasional bugs. Apps freeze, the interface stutters. Updates sometimes introduce new issues instead of fixing old ones. It's not a disaster, but it's not polished either. Here's where things get tricky. Retailer-specific SKUs quietly cut features. A model at Costco might have slightly different processing than the same model at Best Buy. Brightness might vary, build quality might differ, and TCL doesn't make this obvious. You have to dig into spec sheets and owner forums to figure out what you're actually getting. Firmware reliability is questionable. Some updates are great, others brick features or introduce stuttering. The community sentiment is always the same, high potential, sometimes unstable. The verdict? The spec sheet wins you over, then the firmware reminds you why it's cheaper. If you're willing to tinker and troubleshoot, TCL can be a solid value. But if you want something that just works out of the box, spend more. And now we hit the midpoint. This is where the stakes change. Before we jump into the top 6, let's talk about 3 facts that most salespeople won't tell you. Fact number 1. Most retailers use house model numbers, so you can't easily compare specs with mainstream models. They do this deliberately to prevent price matching. Fact number 2. A sudden price drop is often a sign that a panel is dimmer or uses last year's processor. TVs don't just go on sale because the store is feeling generous. Fact number 3. 2 TVs that look identical under showroom lighting can perform like night and day in your actual living room. Retail demos are specifically designed to mask weaknesses. If this has already saved you from a bad OLED deal, hit subscribe right now. The next 6 might shock you. Number 6, Sony A80L and A83L retail variants. Sony's mid-tier OLED lineup is where things start getting genuinely good. The processing is gorgeous. The upscaling is among the best in the industry. Motion handling is elite. Build quality feels premium in a way that cheaper brands just can't match. But the mid-tier models offer lower brightness than competitors in the same price range, and that's what keeps them at number 6. The upscaling and motion performance are legitimately incredible. If you're watching lower resolution content or streaming sports, Sony's processor makes everything look better than it has any right to. It's the kind of thing you don't fully appreciate until you see it side by side with another brand. Here's the catch with retail variants. Some of them hide cut-down heatsinks. This affects sustained brightness performance. The TV might hit high nits for a few seconds during HDR peaks, but then it dims to protect the panel. In a bright room, this becomes noticeable. Buyer sentiment is overwhelmingly positive. The picture is stunning. Colors are accurate, motion is smooth, but brightness could absolutely be better, especially if you're not watching in a cave. The verdict? Premium image quality with mid-level brightness. If you prioritize processing and motion over raw brightness, this is your TV. But if you watch a lot of HDR in a bright room, keep looking. Now we're entering the consistently good tier. Number 5, Samsung S90C and S85C retail SKUs. Samsung's QD OLED technology is genuinely impressive. The color volume is incredible. The brightness is class-leading for OLED. Gaming features are some of the best on the market. And the reliability track record is solid. But retail-only versions sometimes reduce brightness, which is the only thing keeping this from ranking higher. Tizen OS is fast. Samsung's interface is snappy and responsive. Apps load instantly. Multitasking is smooth, but the operating system is absolutely filled with ads. The home screen feels like a billboard. You can minimize it, but you can't eliminate it entirely. Gaming features are class-leading. Variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, support for 120Hz at 4K. If you're a console or PC gamer, Samsung makes it incredibly easy to get the best performance. The catch is those retail variants. Some models sold exclusively at certain retailers quietly reduce peak brightness by 10 to 15%. It's not a massive difference, but it's enough that side-by-side comparisons reveal the gap. The verdict? A powerhouse as long as you avoid the weaker retail variants. Do your homework. Make sure you're getting the full spec version. If you do, this TV will not disappoint. Next up is the safe pick for everyday buyers. Number 4, LG B4 and retail B-series variants. LG's most affordable OLED is better than it's ever been. And that's exactly why it lands at number 4. Brightness has improved significantly over previous years. The B4 can actually compete with mid-tier models from other brands. It's not the brightest OLED on the market, but it's no longer embarrassingly dim either. WebOS is smoother and less buggy than older versions. LG has been refining this interface for years, and it shows. Navigation is intuitive. Apps rarely crash. Updates arrive regularly. It's one of the most polished smart TV experiences you can get. Reliability is generally strong. Burn-in is rare if you follow basic precautions. Panel uniformity is solid. Longevity is better than most competitors at this price point. Buyer sentiment is almost universally positive. This is the perfect entry-level OLED. It checks all the boxes without breaking the bank. It's the TV you recommend to your parents or your friends who just want something good without doing hours of research. The verdict? The easiest OLED recommendation for most people. If you don't need cutting-edge brightness or gaming features, this is the one. It just works. Now we're at the top 3. These are the models that don't just meet expectations. They beat them. Number 3. LG C4. The LG C4 is the best balance of performance, price, and ecosystem on the market right now. It's the crowd favorite for a very good reason. It rarely disappoints. Peak brightness is noticeably higher than the B series. We're talking about a meaningful jump. HDR content looks punchier, highlights pop harder. Even in a moderately lit room, the image holds up. Gaming features are top tier. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. Variable refresh rate on all of them. Support for 120Hz at 4K, Dolby Vision gaming. If you're a gamer, this TV has everything you need and nothing you don't. WebOS is smooth and mature. It's one of the most refined smart TV interfaces available. Everything is where you'd expect it to be. Customization options are plentiful. The Magic Remote is genuinely useful instead of gimmicky. The verdict? A crowd favorite for a reason. It hits the sweet spot of performance and value. Unless you need something very specific, this is the OLED most people should buy. Number 2. Sony A95L QD OLED flagship. The Sony A95L is the best color accuracy and processing on the market, period. If you want reference-level image quality, this is it. Motion and tone mapping are next level. Sony's processor does things with image data that other brands simply can't match. Upscaling looks magical. Motion looks smooth without feeling artificial. HDR tone mapping extracts every bit of detail from both highlights and shadows. Brightness is significantly higher than previous Sony OLEDs. The QD OLED panel delivers the nits that earlier Sony models lacked. You finally get Sony's legendary processing with the brightness to match. Reliability record is premium. Sony builds TVs that last. Panel quality is top tier. Customer support is responsive. These TVs hold their value better than almost anything else on the market. The verdict? Reference level image quality that's almost unbeatable. If budget isn't a constraint and you want the absolute best picture, this is the one. Number 1. Samsung S95D 2025 flagship. The Samsung S95D is the brightest QD OLED to date with killer anti-glare technology. It's the OLED to beat. It's the closest thing to future-proof you can buy right now. Daylight performance is incredible. This TV can hold its own in rooms with massive windows and direct sunlight. The anti-glare coating is genuinely effective without introducing that hazy rainbow effect you see on cheaper implementations. Peak brightness pushes QD OLED technology to new levels. Highlights and HDR content are blinding in the best possible way. The TV delivers that wow factor that makes everyone who sees it stop and stare. Gaming features are elite. Everything you'd expect from Samsung, plus a few extras. The game bar is intuitive. Input lag is minimal. Variable refresh rate implementation is flawless. Reliability is strong based on early data. Samsung's QD OLED panels are maturing nicely. Burn-in concerns are minimal. Build quality is excellent. And the warranty support is accessible nationwide. Value at promotional prices is exceptional. When this TV goes on sale, it becomes an absolute no-brainer. The gap between this and the competition closes dramatically when you're getting it for hundreds off. The verdict? The OLED to beat. The closest thing to future-proof you can buy in 2025. If you want the best and you can afford it, this is the one. So let's recap the 3 tiers we just covered. The traps are Hisense, Toshiba, Vizio, and Philips. These are TVs that look absolutely incredible on a wall of retail demos but fall apart when you get them into real homes with real lighting and real expectations. They're not all terrible, but they're inconsistent enough that you're gambling with your money. The middle performers are Panasonic, TCL, Sony A, 80L, Samsung S, 90C, and LG B4. These are solid picks depending on your specific needs and what pricing you can find. They all have trade-offs, but none of them are bad choices if they match what you're looking for. The real winners are LG C4, Sony A, 95L, and Samsung S95D. These are the TVs that don't just meet expectations, they exceed them. They're the ones you'll still be happy with 3 years from now. Here's the core takeaway. Retailers aren't trying to trick you, but exclusive models, older processors, and carefully tuned demo modes make it incredibly easy to buy the wrong TV. A few $100s in savings today can turn into years of frustration tomorrow. You don't need the most expensive OLED on the market, you just need the right one, and now you know which ones those are. Drop a comment below with the exact model you're considering. I'll tell you if it's safe or if you should keep looking. And if this video saved you from making a costly mistake, hit that subscribe button. We do these buying guides all the time, and the next one might save you even more. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.